Guaranteed to get the net curtains twitching. By day, 60-year-old grandmother of 3, Francesca Brown, can be seen walking her dogs, reading a good book. But by night, Francesca turns into this. And that is the mild stuff.
Yes. When Francesca decided to take on a part-time job to subsidise her pension, little did her family or friends think that she'd turn to porn. Well, as you've seen, she did, and she's with us this morning. You don't look anything like a porn star, sitting there in your nice cardi. I have to say, it's an interesting way of subsidising your pension. You know, most people get a little bit of part-time work at a supermarket, maybe in the local post office, or maybe take some voluntary work. How on earth did this happen?
Basically it was someone posted, an ex-boyfriend of mine posted half a dozen photos of me on the internet, just posing with a shawl and in a bikini. And the next day I had 250 emails in my inbox.
So this was, I mean we're joking now at the starting of this, but you had some tragedy in your life. Yeah. Your son was killed in a tragic accident, and then very quickly after that your husband was diagnosed with a terminal illness. Yeah. And you nursed him, and you lost your husband as well. Yeah. And then it was almost a year and a half later, wasn't it? So this wasn't an immediate thing.
No, of course not.
You decided to go onto the internet to find a companion, someone, some male company. Yeah. And you met Joe. Yes. And so Joe was in Malta.
That's right, yeah.
And you started corresponding, and Joe, you said, made you feel really good about yourself, which you hadn't done for a long time. Yeah,
he changed my life, and he changed my perception of myself, because I was very negative about myself and my size. No one had ever told me I was sexy, and I think, you know, all women hanker after a man to tell them that.
This is as Ruth says, it does all start with sort of these very serious and very tragic beginnings, because your husband was quite dominating, wasn't he? You felt repressed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you know, I didn't feel like a sexy woman. I didn't feel, you know, men have told me I'm beautiful, you know, which is their perception of me. You know, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, after all. And he didn't make me feel like that. So this guy was a total revelation to me, you know, that suddenly this man was saying, you know, you're beautiful, you're sexy. Me? Are you sure? You know? And he said, you know, I'll prove it to you. And I thought, well, you know, just because you like larger ladies, you know, you'll fall flat on your face. But
so he
I was wrong.
He posted this slightly saucy picture of you on the internet, and you got this enormous response. So how did that make you feel? Did that make you feel even more sexy and...
Well, initially it made me feel quite overwhelmed, you know, but then, I mean, there was only a few offering me work amongst those 250 initial ones. The majority were from men admiring me. And I suddenly realised, you know, he was right. There are men out there that like, you know, lady with larger proportions.
That's one thing, having some admiring emails. But how did that then go from there to starring in porn films?
Well, one of the first jobs I was offered was like a month later from this, you know, initial influx of 250. And I mean, you know, obviously I was very, very nervous, never done anything like this.
And
met
wary,
my husband when I was
imagine.
16 and never been with anybody else, you know. You know, I sort of talked it over with Joe, and he was very much of the philosophy, you know, try something once, if you don't like it, then don't do it again. And he said, just make sure you're safe, you know, give your girlfriends your, the number of where you're going. If you get there and you don't like the look of the people, then just come home. You know, because I'm an adult, I can turn around and say, no, thank you, it's not for me, I'm off. You know, and it wasn't like that at all.
It's one of those things, really. I mean, it's that anyone who sort of looks at this from the outside would see this Joe as something of a shady character here. Now, hang on a second. This is a guy that has led you into pornography.
You could say that, I suppose. Yeah. But I'm an adult woman. I have free choice and free will. You know, I could have said no at any time, but it was.
Why did you say yes? That's the thing, you know, I'm saying there's a difference between a few saucy pictures on the internet, but this is, you know, full-blown pornographic movie.
I suppose deep down inside me there's an exhibitionist streak. And it was like, you know, I suppose it's the same sort of buzz that people get, you know, I mean, I wouldn't do that, you know, bungee jumping or something. You're doing something very daring that not many people do. And I just thought, well, I'll give it a go and see what happens.
So you are, as you say, a respectable granny, and you have grandchildren, your son. But that first day, I mean, listen, last night, after I'd had a look at Christine Hamilton on the webcam, I had a look at your site, and this is serious, hardcore pornography. And I know every part of you now. So I feel we know each other so well.
Well, you know me so well.
Gracious. So, having seen you do the things that you've done and the pictures that you've had taken there, when you think about it, I mean, that's not necessarily where you saw this going. You didn't imagine it would go that far, surely.
Well, no, I suppose not really, you know. I mean, if anybody had said to me, you know, when I was in my late 40s, early 50s, you know, in 5 years' time, this is what you'll be doing, I'd have said, oh, yeah, on your bike, you know. I would never, ever have dreamt of doing something like that.
Who are the blokes?
Well, they're mainly male stars, you know.
Porn stars?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the thing is, people perceive it as that, you know, I have lots of partners, but in actual fact, in 7 years of doing it, I've had 10. So it's not that great a deal, because I do work with some guys more than once,
yes.
You know. So.
And what does your son think about it?
Well, when I told my son, he just said, look, Mother, you're an adult, you're a young woman still, you know, it's your life. You're free to do what you want as long as you're safe. You know, and I am a sensible woman.
Safe?
Of course, yeah, everything's safe. You know, I look out for myself. People always know where I am, where I'm going to be. They can contact me. You know, I never do anything that's unsafe. We're talking, you know, safe sex encounters
Philip's mentioned
here.
your son, but what about your grandchildren who are 7 and 3, I think,
Yeah.
are they? So do they know, the older one, the 7-year-old, does he know anything about this? Or?
Of course not.
And will you tell him?
When he's old enough, yes. I mean, you know, I envisage I'll be sat in a rocking chair one day, and instead of asking me about what went on in the war, because I can't remember that anyway, I was born after it, you know, I'll be able to tell him, you know, well, your granny was a porn star.
Be interesting, one of those show and tell at school, won't it?
Yeah.
Go home and ask Grandma what she did in her youth.
You say that it's made you feel much more confident in yourself.
I feel empowered.
Yeah, absolutely. You've made your own decisions. Nobody's forced you to
No.
do anything you didn't want to do.
No.
But you have begun to. It's been about a year since you did any modelling work.
Yeah.
You've begun to drift away from it now, is it?
Yes.
I think?
I have. I feel my life's path is changing because I've nearly completed my autobiography, because I've had quite a traumatic and abusive life from a very young age. And it's only when I was on my own 8 years ago that I suddenly became me. You know, I found myself, and I can really say that, having been on my own for 8 years, I know myself very, very well now. And so I've written this book really to inspire people. I'm not saying that everybody should go out there and be a porn star, you know, for goodness sake, that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is you can change your life, you can do what you want, you can be happy, and as long as you're not hurting anybody else, it can empower you.
Yes.
And did you subsidise your pension much? How much money did you make?
Oh, not a fortune. I mean, for every job that I've done, it's been £300.
So it hasn't been totally about the money?
No, it's not. It's been about learning about me and changing my life. And, you know, I'd also like to go on now and talk to other women that feel bad about themselves. And in fact, not necessarily women, it can be men as well, you know, because they have this this idea that if they get down to, say, a size 10, for example, you know, their life is going to change and everything will be wonderful. That's not how it is. It's how you feel about yourself inside. And until you learn to love yourself, how can anybody else love you? And I would like to, like my friend this morning, you know, that's come with me, you know, she, it was yesterday morning actually, she had an outfit on and she said, I don't feel right in this. And because I've known her for 30 years, I was saying, well, put this, this and this on. And she put it on, she said, you're really good, you've got style yourself and you know how to tell other larger ladies to dress. She said, I feel so much more comfortable and at ease in the outfit you've chosen for me.
Well, thank you Francesca, for coming in today. It is an extraordinary story, and now drifting into poetry as well. So,
Yes.
so good luck with that one.
Come back with the autobiography.
I will. I will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Nice
you
to meet
very much.
Still to come today, we've got the lady who's been giving us hours of fun all week. She takes her first steps to freedom right after this.